Does God see you? And if he does, why don't you and I feel like he does? The story I thought of immediately was the story in the Bible of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. Or if you grew up in church and kids' church, shake the bed, make the bed, and to bed you go. But this story reminds me of three really important things. The first thing is you need to learn first and foremost to trust God and not your feelings, because feelings are fickle. In Daniel 3:17, these three men are about to be thrown into the blazing fire because they won't bow down to a false idol. And so they say in response, if we're thrown into the blazing fire or furnace, the God we serve is able to deliver us from it, and he will deliver us from your majesty's hand. But even if he does not, I love that. Even if he doesn't, we want you to know, your majesty, that we will not serve your gods or worship the image of gold you have set up. Now, I'm sure they were feeling all kinds of things. Fear, right? Maybe anger, frustration, concern. God, are you going to really deliver us? But they chose in that moment not to trust how they felt, because they felt awful, but rather in a God who can and does deliver. The second thing I thought of was that you got to know that God is waiting for you in the fire. This is the most powerful part of this story. So they get thrown into the fire, and in Daniel chapter 3, verse 25, the king says, look, I see four men. There was three thrown in, but I see four walking around in the fire, unbound and unharmed. And the fourth looks like a son of the gods. This is an incredible story in the fact that it was actually in the fire that they were loosed of their bounds of the bondages they were in, and God showed up. He was actually in the fire waiting for them. And I got wondering, maybe sometimes God is actually waiting for us in our trial, and we need to see him instead of worrying whether he sees us. And the third thing I thought is that God is often revealed through us in order that the world would see him. So in response, the king sees this, and in Daniel 3:28, he says, praise be to the God of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, who has sent his angel and rescued his servants. They trusted in him and defied the king's command and were willing to give up their lives rather than serve or worship any god except their own God. This is a powerful reality that God wants to be revealed through you, sometimes in the fire. I remember when my son went to school for the very first time, and he thought I wasn't watching. Well, I was there. Long story short, he didn't think I was there or feel that I was there, but I was there. And so I want you to be reminded today. Maybe you don't feel like God is there, but he is. Don't trust your feeling. Trust the God whose character has been revealed. Sometimes God is waiting for us in the trial so that he can be revealed and remind us he is great. But it's not only for us, it's also for others. So does God see you? Oh, you bet he does. And he's working in and through your situation and you. And that is a stepping stone to being who God has called you to be.